Good morning, cool cats and kittens. All right, I'm going to get some coffee and we're going to do it. Let me get you the cool banner. There's a cool banner, a little Dune slogan. Let's give you the starting soon and give you some cool music. You know what the problem is with the camera? If you sit here and listen to me fumble with it, then it keeps the battery keeps dying. Battery exhausted again. I don't know why it keeps happening. Looks like we're not going to bond today. Hold on. This will work. I've got a backup bonding overseas. See if this one will work. Hold on. I don't know why. The $800 one always. I find this it's amazing. Yeah, when it works. That is working. So, I see it's my hand. Let's put this here. Well, kind of. Oh boy, that's going to be a problem. That's nice. Kind of. Oh, that kind of works. Yeah, kind of. women that makes sense. 8:30. Lord. All right, so let's do the fancy 30 seconds. All right, good. That worked. Where's the bonding? Hold on, it's bond. There we are. We're bonding. Yay! This is it. The little camera's working. The one I paid $20 for. The other one's not working. So this is what we got. We'll just have to deal with it. I think it's working fine. Let's just see. That's doing the thing. You can see all my crap. You can see my little light. All right. Well, this is what you got. Oh, it's like I'm in a bubble. All right. Well, this is what you got. This is us bonding today. Let's get to it. We have a lot to go over. A lot. There's a lot going on out there. More than you think, really. But the econ data is just becoming non-existent, like as far as moving the markets. It's really about and you can see that, but it's really about to me, the tariffs and the fact that people are starting to realize that, one, this is not going to go away, and two, it's going to get way worse than people think it is. It's going to be way more expensive than people think it is. I will cover, some of the data out there, but to me, I don't really see the claims numbers doing much. The building permits are scaring people a little bit, but 217 versus 227, I don't see the reason to go over this. It's like it's a non-event, so I'm not going to spend an inordinate amount of time on it. I think you have some data tomorrow. I think durable goods is like the big one, but nobody cares. It's really on the tariffs, and quite frankly, this. Oh, by the way, 10 is old, 15's the new one, and 15's the new low, and him going out and saying, "Oh, I'm a deal maker. I love to make deals." Like, that's not really what people want to hear when they're trying to, establish how they're going to set up their corporation. So it makes it very difficult for people to want to do, business here. Very difficult. So I'm not saying that he cares, but it just makes it very difficult for people to want to do business because you can't plan, and it makes the cost of goods more expensive because they're just not going to have the production. That's why car values are probably, used cars are holding much better. I think that these are really the levels that you need to look at. I'd like to get rid of, let's do this. Hold on. Let's go to this so that I know I have this set up properly. Do the ES. And that bull looks like it's going to go again, right? It's interesting, isn't it? I'm surprised you're dropping so much on this. And there it is. You have a huge, I'll just say it while I'm doing this, you have an enormous call wall on Google at 200. It's freaking huge. So they're going to fight that tooth and nail today. Just watch it. Like, people always watch those numbers, and there is something to the numbers, but there's usually something to the numbers because of call walls and put walls. There's definitely something there with that. Yeah, it's a pickle, man. The question is, what does this look like, right? It's not great, Bob. I don't really like this when these are get lower and lower and lower, and these are getting higher. like at all. There's things that I like, and this is not one of them. So, it does feel like I keep waiting, man, for the shoe to drop. And it's like, I feel like I'm waiting forever. And it's just not dropping. And maybe it's not going to, maybe it's not going to. There are times where it just doesn't drop. And I'm wondering if we're at one of those times. But, it's hard, man, because like, it's hard not to see that, right? So like, as much as I'm trying to get like giddy about tech, you're not able to get over this. So that's a real pickle. That's a real pickle there. And it's out there, man. I think it's out there. You gotta be super careful with this stuff, like super careful. It makes you wonder, like, are they going to set us up today for pain? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that yet. Some of the stuff I'm really surprised is not up more, but because Google's call was fascinating. I mean, Google's call was really good. So let's get through this, and then we see it here as well. You can see the same pattern. There are times, guys, like yesterday, I'm just not going to be able to create a video. So with trading, sometimes I've been putting these videos out at the expense of my trading, and I'm just not going to really be able to do it. Like yesterday was just insane. I saw it coming too with Tesla. There was just like no way between the conference calls and the coaching calls and everything I do, that there was just no freaking way I was going to be able to do a public video. As well, I'll cover it tonight. I really think you have to look at Google. You have to spend a lot of time really diving into I spent a lot of diving into like Tesla last night. There's some real issues there, and it makes you wonder, like, are they finally going to bring those issues home? Like, are they finally going to be like, is that going to be a thing or not? I mean, I know you got like the zealots, and I mean that in a nice way. Like, when I say that, people are like, well, they're not cultish. I'm like, they are, but so is Apple. Like, cults are not a bad thing if you're a business. Like, you want people's cult-like devotion. Look at Chipotle, for God's sake, when they lose their cult-like devotion, right? When people don't want to spend $22 on a burrito anymore. I'm really surprised. I'll give you this because I do find this fascinating. I'm really surprised Bank of America's not up more. Like, really surprised, considering the news last night that they're going to do a $40 billion buyback. You should be up a lot more than you are. The other thing that was troubling was this, that we rolled over yesterday on XHB. I don't really understand that, considering the news. And come on, work with me, not against me. I really don't understand that, because overall, to me, like, this was really decent news on these names. So, but we rolled over, and today's news is probably not much better. Let's see if we can raise this just a little bit. Oh, that puts me more in the bubble. Well, this is what we have. Maybe I can do 2 cameras at once. All right, Boomer, calm down. Just get a camera working. Let's just get to the ones that you're going to ask me about. This was a bloodbath. This was like one of their really worst quarters ever. And even the CFO, who's probably like worried about, she sounded more worried about like disclosure than her job, to be quite honest. I will listen to these calls. You can get them transcribed, but I'll listen to these calls more than twice, usually, for stuff like this, because you want to hear the inflections in their voice. And I'll just play them like over and over again, just to listen to like how they sound. And I know it sounds weird, but you can tell, like, do they sound excited? Are they trying to cover something up? You got a real pickle here, man, like a real one. So, and you've broken in a couple spots. I actually shorted this last night, not at the high, but when it broke 22, because once you broke that level, I was like, boy, you're done. And you were. I'm not short now. I covered it, but you can get a lot lower here. The problem with always is you don't know when like the zealots step back in, and so I would look for rallies on it. But for you to get to 293 in a couple days is like it's nothing. It's nothing for it to get there, and I'd watch that super closely because I do think that you can. I do think you can get there. I really do. And I would watch this. You have a huge put wall at 300, like enormous. So I don't know that you're going to break 300. You know, selling calls on rally on days like today, if you're advanced, is probably not the worst idea. It's probably not the worst idea. You know, selling, call spreads, credit spreads is probably not probably not the worst idea in the world. And, other than that, what else do we really want to go over? Google, but I mean, everybody knows 200's the cat's pajamas. And whether you break that or not, but Ben, if you break 200, and you might, this was a banger of a call. Like every metric, I'll go over this tonight. Let me see if I can find it. But every metric, and I'll show you the metrics. If you're in the community, you already saw this yesterday before the call, but let me find it so that you guys have it for today so you get it. So if I copy this and I go in here, can I copy and paste into here? Is there a paste button? Oh, I'm like a whiz with the internets. So you could just screenshot it. So these were the buy side bars. I put this in the room yesterday before earnings, and what it's showing you is like where JP Morgan is and where the buy side is. And what you're really seeing here is you're just like, you can see that if you took these numbers and then you looked at what came out, everything crushed. The biggest thing was this. See the CapEx? Consensus was 73. This year over year, 43%. They're at 85. 85. And a lot of this has to do, and I've been saying this for some time, if you really read that, it's not Build Back Better. What's he calling his? Big, Beautiful Bill? What is it with these guys and their Bs? But the depreciation that they get, and I did bring this up before in a public video, and they heard me yammer on it in the room. The depreciation you're going to get on your capital expenditures now, they can take it all off on the first year against taxes. So they're definitely, as long as the stuff's made in the US, so they're definitely going to do that, hands down. But you could just screenshot this, but go look at it. Like every single metric they crushed on. Like it wasn't one metric, it was all the metrics. That's why I was really surprised when it dropped. But I think it dropped because of the increase in CapEx and I think it dropped because of the increase in CapEx. That's what I think. People not getting it. Give me 1 second. I gotta read this. It'll be, but then I'll run back out. I hate cold. I don't mind cold coffee if it starts off cold, but when it's hot and then it gets cold, I got issues. I'd like to see it break out. I don't know if you're going to get above that 200 today. But the CapEx, like that's why AVGO went up. That's why NVIDIA went up. That, and he's talking about splitting up NVIDIA. I don't know that that's the craziest thing in the world, guys, for him to split this up. That could happen. He could split this up. And it wouldn't have to even go through any trust because Jensen actually wants to split it up, I think. Personally, I think he does. Because I think he'd make way more money if he does. So, because you're looking at 20 billion in sales annually to China that he's not getting. And they made it quite clear they're already getting it. But here's your range for the day. Like Get a little range right here. We could just drop this here and get that out. All right, cool. What else we got going on here? That is of interest. I can't get under the, I don't understand why this Bank of America is not bidding up on this news. It's crazy. It really should be. Let me get my coffee and then we'll do all the questions. We'll do them all. I'll do fast. I'll do it like a speed run. We got Jen, SPY, Pega. Let's do Pega, COM, C. So I actually think Amazon makes a lot of sense based upon what just happened with Google. And I'm really surprised that you're not like exploding to the upside. But yeah, I do think that this makes a lot of sense to look at. I'm really surprised that it's not up more. Like Microsoft should be on fire and it's down. And okay, so maybe you got to flip the the doji here, but what I don't like about these is it's not green, it's red. So I'm not a fan of those. But Amazon, yeah, I mean Amazon, I'm really surprised that you're not up more. And you couldn't get above the open, you couldn't get above this, but you could go today on this call. Like I would think Amazon absolutely crushes on the AWS side with Google's cloud numbers. Like I just don't see, I don't see how it's not going to. I just really don't see that. So it's definitely something where I look at it and go, all right, well, give me 1 second here, guys. Okay. We're gonna play games. I don't really have time for it. I really don't today. Okay, no time, no games, no games. Rick Ross. All right, let's go. So for me, it's more about, let's just keep looking here. I don't understand this at all, but I do think that things like Amazon that they could go. Like if the one thing I would take away from last night, and I'll cover it greater in Saturday's video, is you want to be looking at the hyperscalers and what the hyperscalers are going to buy, because the hyperscalers are all going to increase their stuff. There's no doubt about it. Let's do some of these names. We'll do them quick. We'll run through them. I mean, to me, C's been a no-brainer. I think you're finally back to book, right? Book value. It's been an absolute no-brainer of a trade ever since they lowered the capital requirements. Again, I have a hard time understanding why this thing's only up 20 cents. Amazon, the Golden Cross, it's there. I tend to look at these Golden Crosses way more than I look at a Death Cross. Golden Crosses tend to lead to more longer term moves. Death Crosses, by the time they happen, they're usually like, if you don't know what you're looking at, they're usually like, you're usually late. Like people are like, oh, what about here? Well, what about here, man? Like how many times was it going to do it? You know what I mean? Where if you look at Golden Crosses, they tend to define the trade a little bit more. That's been my experience in trading. You should do what you're comfortable with. But, remember this, like everybody was like freaking out about this. And I kept making jokes about it. So I tend to look at this stuff like as to how it actually acts versus just regurgitating information. So when you see like these death crosses and everyone's going nuts, just remember like here was a death cross. Remember I kept going, ooh, and everyone was getting like, oh, it's a death cross. Okay. So 77 to 118. The ones that you should pay attention to and the ones that work better to me are always the Golden Crosses. And the reason for that is because it means that you have institutional support because the 55 and the way it's acting. You don't know, like here's your death cross. Ooh. Like, I mean, imagine selling that, right? Because you have a death cross. Like, could you think of anything dumber? And the reason for that is because you don't know where institutions are going to step back in because you don't have your guide, right? So I'd be real careful I get real careful with death crosses. People will say, oh, well, there's a death cross here. Okay. there was also $1.7 trillion in the market. People were buying JPEGs were NFTs. Someone bought a tweet like for millions of dollars. It's like you have to put it in context. So when you see stuff like this, yeah, I get it. And optimally what you do is you want that to pull back to a different level. Like you really want that to pull back to a level of interest. To me, that level of interest would be if you could get to the 55. I don't know if you're going to. The market's a little heavy here. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But we'll see. Let's do it real fast. What else did you have there? You had one that I'm not looking at all. Pega. I would have to know why you did what you did. I was not on the call. I didn't listen to the call yet. I don't know how I missed this. I don't know how no one in the room brought this one up. I always tout like, oh, it's so great having the room, but like the whole room missed this one. I'll tell you that right now. Or maybe they were talking about it and I was too busy. But I don't know how no one was on this. Like, look at that. It's a lot of buying on earnings, and you're pushing through it. So I don't know. Lots of upgrades, but just to like 61. So they guided higher and then they beat the higher guide. Okay. And then it raised. Yeah, you got to be careful, but yeah, I mean, that does look good. It reminds me of like this, like a little bit like this, where people are like, I just got to get in. I just have to own it. It works until it doesn't work, guys, and right now, man, this stuff's on fire. So, but, just July 1st, this thing was 480. That kind of stuff scares me. I just like, you can come in one day and it's all gone. Tesla, we covered. CYN, SIM. The only way that's going to rally, I mean, it sounds so dumb to say, but the only way that rallies is if all like the hoople heads step into it. When this stuff breaks, it takes time to come back. And I don't know that you're there yet. You got some green days there. I don't see the volume. Like if you were telling me that, oh, I think this one's going to go, I would say, wow, you might be right. Look at all the volume. And like there's 70 million shares for sale. I don't even know if it went. They're not really saying anything about it anymore. Someone filed and the stock could care less. Like CYN, it's having a real tough time here. And, that's an issue. Sometimes when these things have so many shares outstanding, BMNR, I just, I always talk about the opens, but, this thing came out and said, oh, by the way, we bought another 2 billion of Ethereum. You can't even rally. Like you can't even close above an open on these things. So it's telling you just have net sellers. This thing looks like it's about ready to just like crack hard, like really crack. Is there short? Can I short this? How much stock's out there to short? Millions to short. You can short millions of this. Okay. That's in a lot of trouble. Yeah, you're at a crossroads, man. That's at a crossroads. See it? Your buying can't even come close to what they're selling. Tesla, I marked up your levels. I mean, they have the Walmart contract, right? I mean, there's not much more to say. You just have to have patience. MP, you know, Julian, I'm like the wrong person to ask. You have a huge call wall up here at like 65. I will say that. You know, it's huge. How big is it? Huge. You have a huge call wall up here. Oh, it's like up here somewhere, but 65. I gotta be honest, like my read on this thing and the way it trades has not been great. You know, this day, and then you have this where you're going to break out, and then it's hard because you have a huge short position in it, and those shorts didn't really go away. They're still short it, which is crazy, but they're still short the name. So you're seeing that. It's like the Coles people, like they didn't go away, which is it's absolutely insane to me because they're just going to grind this thing on it. All you need is one green closing, and this thing's going to like rip their faces off. So I don't know, man. I'd be careful. I'd be careful with that name. I don't know what your edge is now. MXL. I don't know what the earnings are, my friend. I don't have a clue. I would just be talking out of my butt. I can give you levels to watch, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about. I mean, there are your levels. That's how I would look at it. It's not something that I would be going near. Let's speed this up a little bit. Hymns, they got this in the room. I caught a tail end of it. You know, there's a lot of conjecture out there about rumors. The best thing you could do, the best would be an inside bar followed by another inside bar. So like if you could get something like, you know, this, right? Hold on. Okay, you gotta work with me, not against me. But if you could work with something like you get a bar like that, and then you get another bar, you know, where it's either inside or then it breaks out, I think you're better off like something like that. You know what I mean? Like if you could get something like that, that'd be fantastic. I tend to avoid these names now unless I hit a higher high or I come down. And so what I tend to do, like let's say I want to play it, what I would do is just give me some fib levels. And then I would go and see if we've respected any of those. Come on, little guy, work with me. Too early for your nonsense. And drop it on a 5, drop it like it's hot. Kids still say that, right? So, and then you'll find like levels, like, isn't that special right there? So like, you know, that 57, 20 something, that 55, 67. So you just drop it on the daily and then you chop it down to like a 5 or something. You can do it on a 1, 2, it doesn't matter. But you want to chop it down and then see how you're reacting at those. So like, if I wanted to buy that, to me, you would look at like this level right here. Like, oh, hey, if I got to, can I put alerts on that? Well, now that's troubling. They should be able to do that. So I would put like here and go add alert and go from there. So you see it? That's where I would be interested. You could also watch how it responds if it gets back up here. That's how I would map that sucker out. What's up, Jacob? Good morning from Tokyo. I think I'm going to road trip. EWJ all-time highs. So let's go look at some of these names. What is this? What is this? What is this witchcraft that you found? I don't know, bro. What is it? Earnings? I can't touch this. Can't touch this. Can't touch this. I don't know. I'd have to understand what that is. I'll put it to look at, to be honest with you, but I don't know what's going on there. I'm just talking out of my butt. See, I mean, and I don't like how thin that is, but. I mean, what is going on today? Yeah, Nonsense is what's going on. Strongest sector out there, hands down. I love sushi. The sushi, I've never been to Japan. The sushi's probably freaking insane. That was the one place, remember that Bourdain guy? And he would go over there and he would interview all these chefs from all over the world. And they said if you could be in one place, you could only live in like one place, like where would you be? Like where would you go to live? You had to live in only one place. He said Japan. What's getting it to do that, dude? Because earnings, like the earnings, right? So here's your earnings, and you fall apart, right? Earnings bad. Nobody wants sushi. See the difference? Why? Let's get into it. Let's do it together. I love when we can do stuff together. Oh, anything there? Tariffs? How about tariffs? What do they do? Do they import? Are they a restaurant? Okay, can you not give me that one? Okay, so okay, well, if this is the future sucks. Okay. Operates a change of technology-driven Japanese conveyor belt sushi restaurants across the United States. So it must be the import of sushi from Japan Okay. So on the call, give me 1 second. Let's see if we can get an answer to this. See if I can go through their balance sheet like super quick. Okay, so it's the tariffs that's doing it. That's what's doing it. So it's eating up like half their profitability from it. 35 to 40% is what it did. It took out like about, I'm just estimating looking at the balance sheet, but it took out like 35% of their EPS. That's why it did it. That's why it's moving. So if they get a deal with Japan, they benefit greatly. They import millions from Japan. That's interesting. That's like a really straightforward kind of thing. What time is it? Oh boy. That's really interesting, dude. That's really interesting. That might have legs. Because you never got back to where you were from tariffs. You could have legs on that. That's an interesting one for sure. Look, I'm like in that bubble with this freaking camera. You see my special light though. All right, what else? Good morning. Google looks fine. Good morning from Phoenix. Good morning from Miami. Good morning from Philly. Go Birds. Good morning from Miami, Len. Yeah, who cares? Good morning from Siesta Key. Siesta Key is beautiful. What's up, Minnie? Oh, thanks, dude. I look at the email like once a day. I'll get to it though. I'm like the worst. I actually have somebody now that like actually goes through it. I just don't have the time. But thank you. No, it's what time is it? 9:07 now. Damn technology. I think they think inflation's going higher. Dude, he just raised tariffs from 10% to 15. He's like, it's not a big deal. It's a big deal. Dude, I'm telling you, like, that's the whole thing about it. Like, oh, we're not a car company anymore. We're just going to do robot. Like, okay, my over/under's 10. I don't think you have 10 robo taxis working by the end of the year. I really don't think you get 10, 24/7, 365 somewhere in the country. 10 of them. I don't think you come close. No, I didn't. I really didn't because of the action. So that's what I'm saying. People keep talking about buying this name, man. Like it's just going to be, dude. It's going to be shoe after shoe after shoe. Like remember when that dude threw shoes at like Bush and he like ducked the one and then he came back with the other one. I mean, that's what's going on here. That's what UNH is right now. It's Bush Jr. Hi, Lisa. Happy Thursday. No, because then I'm committed. No, I can't. You can't do that. You can't go back. IBM was good. I thought IBM was really good. I'm always floored by this, and then give it a couple of days and probably presents an opportunity. I think Tesla can go a lot lower, man. Like a lot lower. And a lot of people are out there saying, "Oh, well, he's doing it because he's going to buy stock cheaper." He might have bitten off more he could chew here. I don't think people understand the amount of subsidies and government contracts he gets. They've just been cut out of X. XAI is not getting government contracts. So, I don't know. Nukes looks amazing. UNH has problems. Like UNH, like there's real issues here. I've been saying it forever. Lulu doesn't seem to be able to get it together, man. That's what I'm saying. It's nuts. Like the bar is crazy. I like these names. I like these names a lot, and I think they're going higher. I'm really disappointed in the action. Stellantis has a lot of problems. Stellantis had to create cars even though they weren't selling. 15, there's 15 million short on that. Is there? Yeah, that's a problem. I think they understand that it's just price tie. I do own that. ZJ. What's up, Brian? I gotta go, guys. I don't know what your volume's like. Yeah. I actually like Amazon a lot. You know, you never know here, but if you looked at CapEx on Google, you have to assume that these guys are going to go out there and spend. Oh, did you ever see him move? I live from Australia. I live from Miami. Watch when he gives a speech. He's always like itchy and fidgety when he's up there. I think he solidified his name the day he got the iPad up there. So it is what it is. My hope is that he doesn't go anywhere till May. Honestly, I think he's the worst we've ever had. I've been doing this 26 years. He's a disaster, but you know, I don't want to go out like this. But you know, it is what it is. I got to jump, guys. Good win.